Hi, Paul here with Harry, and today we are upstairs in the shop in Hereford because it's a bit grey and damp and cold outside to be putting up some lovely new tents. So we've come up today to talk to you about the lovely MSR Elixir 2 tent. So what is it? Well, as the name would imply, it's a two-man lightweight backpacking tent. It's got oodles of space, it's got two entrances, two vestibules, lovely inner height for sitting up in, nice and light and airy inside with good vertical side walls, so there's no kind of loose baggy tent on the inside. And as you will have seen from the little intro clip of me putting this up, it's an absolute doddle. That was literally the first time I'd taken this tent out of the bag, put it up from go. It's all colour coded. It even gives you little etchings on the poles to tell you which grommets to put them in. So it's pretty foolproof. Even I can do it. So we'll go into detail about pitching the tent a bit later, but this is it. This is the MSR Elixir 2 lightweight backpacking tent, two persons, nice and roomy, really spacious. Okay, so what is the MSR Elixir 2 made from? Well, the green bit, as you can see here, the fly sheet, the bit on the outside that's doing all the protecting from the wind and the rain, etc., is made from a polyurethane coated 68 denier polyester, and that gives it a 1500mm hydrostatic head, which is plenty in a tent. You don't need the same kind of hydrostatic heads as you see for things like Gore-Tex in a tent because of the structure and because of the tautness of the fabric. It's 1500mm is absolutely ample for heavy rain and heavy windy conditions. So nice and tough. It's not super light gossamer fabric, but it's designed to last well and stand up to years of use and abuse. The inner tent, the bit you're going to sleep in on the inside, that's made from a lightweight 40 denier ripstop nylon to give it good tensile strength, allow it to breathe nicely, and also there to help with the breathability is a 20D micro mesh panels throughout, so top of the door, over the top, etc. That helps with ventilation and also helps to stop nasty insects getting in. The whole inner tent then is treated with a DWR, that's a durable water repellent, and that just helps to get condensation. You're going to get condensation dripping on the inside of the tent, just helps it to run off and roll off and stop soaking through. Now condensation, whilst we're talking about condensation, is an inevitability, I'm afraid. You will always get condensation in a tent pretty much all the time because it's physics. We breathe out warm, moist air whilst we're sleeping or while we're inside the tent. That meets cold air on the outside, and generally speaking what will happen then, it will condense and form water droplets. So to avoid that, you need these kind of mesh panels to give you ventilation, and the tent's also fitted with vent panels as well, but we'll go into that a little bit later. So that's the inner tent, nice and lightweight, and then down at the bottom you've got a much tougher ground sheet. So that ground sheet is made from a 70 denier taffeta nylon, super tough. It's got a 3000mm hydrostatic head, so much more than the fly sheet. Obviously it needs to be able to withstand moisture because you're going to be putting pressure onto it. So totally waterproof, and as you can see, it comes up high here, give you a bathtub effect, just to stop any moisture or wind-driven rain getting through to the inner tent. As an added bonus, the Elixir 2 is supplied with a footprint. So here we are, here's the footprint. That's designed to sit underneath the inner tent, and it's made of the same fabric as the ground sheet itself, so that kind of doubles up the protection. For the sake of a few grams, it's always worth carrying this, it's always worth using it. If you're pitching this on sort of stony ground, or if there's any thorns or sharp sticks or anything like that, it's much easier to replace the footprint than it is to repair or replace the sewn in ground sheet. So that's why it's supplied with the tent, and it fits nicely to the end of the pole, sits nice and tight under the tent, just under the floor of the inner tent there, just to protect that ground sheet and give you that added protection from the dampness and the wet coming up from the ground. The poles that you saw earlier, the red poles and the grey poles, they're made from good high quality, lightweight 7000 series aluminium. So they will flex nicely with repeated use. They're going to last you for a long time. And you get enough pegs for all the major pegging points in the tent. So there's 4 main guying points, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you get the other main pegging points around the tent, and you get enough pegs, these really nice little lightweight wire pegs, to do all of those major points. And there's Ben again, look, with his bottle. So in total, 12 main pegging points, and you get 12 pegs. It's always worth carrying a few extra, just in case you drop one, can't find it in the long grass, you bend one, you lose one, whatever. It's always worth sticking in a few extra little pegs, just in case. So how does the Elixir pitch? Well, you saw me pitching it earlier. Like I said, that's the first time I've got the tent out the bag, never pitched one before. It is super easy. What MSR have very cleverly done is provided with you two different colour poles, so the red pole and the grey pole, and then they've correspondingly coloured the clips on the inner tent, so the grey clips clip to the grey pole and the red clips clip to the, that's it, you got it, the red pole. And then even down the bottom here, etched onto the pole itself, are the words red grommet, so you know that the red pole here goes down into the red grommet. It is super simple, pops up really nice. It is an inner pitch tent first, but because of that DWR treatment on the fabric on the inner tent, it's not really a problem if it's raining, because this thing goes up so quick. You can throw the fly sheet over and you're going to be fully protected in, oh I don't know, 3 to 4 minutes with a bit of practice. It's very, very easy to pitch. Okay, so let's rattle through the features, or maybe not rattle, sort of maybe stroll through the features of the tent. There's plenty of them, so bear with me as we work our way through. The outstanding feature of this tent really is the usable space. So plenty of room in the inner tent and plenty of room in the vestibules, and the entrances are mirrored either end, so you get 2 zipped entrances and 2 vestibules. And that's Ben with his moustache. So each outer door here can be configured to give you sort of maximum viewing space or maximum ventilation, or closed right down. So you can see here we've rolled this one back to this point here, but it can be rolled back even further simply by unpegging this point here, rolling the door back and securing it to this point here, which gives you a massive open space there, and you can sit in your tent and admire the view. What you would normally have done is the tent guide out from this point here down, so that enables you to unclip the doors from the bottom. You can roll it right back and get an unrestricted view. It's exactly the same on the other side, so whatever happens here happens over there. And the beauty of having the 2 doors is that you can either use one side for wet soggy boots and waterproofs and rucksacks and use that one as the entrance, or if there's 2 of you using the tent, you can have an entrance each. It just means you're not climbing over each other in the night if you need to go for a wee. You can use your own entrance, exit, etc. So lots of usable space, really versatile door options, and the 2 vestibules, equal sizes, and the 2 kind of door options you've got there as well. Okay, so if things are getting a bit warm in the tent, you need to increase your ventilation, you can unzip the door from the top, and that just creates airflow through here without exposing the vestibule if you need to keep that protected if the wind is swirling around and it's a bit wet and drizzly. Whilst I'm here sat with the door, it's worth pointing out this extra little piece of fabric which runs down here, and they call that a rain drain. I think that's what they call it. It basically means if you've got water rolling off the fly sheet, it's not going to drip down into the door, it's going to hit this piece of fabric and run down just like a gutter and just divert the water away. So if you're sat in the tent, rain's coming from the other side, it's not going to drip down onto your head whilst you're cooking. For the inner tent, you get also plenty of features. You get good mesh pockets on the sides. There's also little gear lofts up in the roof. You get plenty of mesh panels in here, so the roof and the ends of the inner tent are made of that lightweight mesh, just to help with ventilation. The doors open nice and wide and roll back. They're kind of like an upside down 7 or a C-shaped door that rolls right back, gives you plenty of access. So when you're sat in the tent, if you're having a brew, whatever, the door's not going to get in the way. Gives you a really nice big wide opening. And the inside of the tent is really taut because it's that inner pitch first and it's tensioned by the poles into the corners. It's a really nice taut inner. The walls don't sag down onto your face when you're sleeping. They're almost vertical and you get a really good spacious inner tent. Another nice little feature on the doors, on the zips themselves, the pullers are glow in the dark. So like I said earlier, if you are waking up in the night and need to answer the call of nature, you're not fumbling around for the zip, you can easily find it because it's going to be glowing nice and bright. You can find it in the dark. For ventilation, as well as all that mesh on the inside, obviously you've got to get the air from the outside in. So you get two vents, one at either end where the poles cross here. So these can be propped open. There's a little stiffener rod here to prop them open, or you can just simply flatten that down, close it up if the conditions are really horrible, you've got driving rain. It's always advisable to pitch the tent with the vents into the wind. So we've got it pitched here, a vent there and a vent there, so you'd want the wind going that way or that way. That way you're drawing all that warm moisture out of the tent and exhausting it out the opposite ventilation slot thing, whatever you want to call it. Thing, vent. There you go, that's the word. So keep that tent nicely vented. Another option you've got for ventilation is you've got a double zip on the main doors. So when they're zipped up, you can unzip from the top and just open the top section a little bit to allow some air in through the top. And that just again gives you a little bit of airflow through the tent. And if you did likewise both sides and you had both vents open, you'd get plenty of airflow through the tent. The Elixir 2 offers great versatility for pitching, depending on the conditions, depending on how much weight you want to carry. You know, it does give you three main options. Obviously, option one is a traditional double tent. So you've got inner tent and outer tent. Option two would be for really warm conditions where you literally just need a bug shelter. So you would just pitch the inner tent on its own, just using the poles, peg it out in the corners, and that will give you a lightweight kind of bug shelter for summer use, summer lightweight camping. The other option you've got, again, if you want to keep the weight down but you need more protection from the elements, is to use the fly sheet, the poles, and just the footprint, so you're losing the inner tent. So you've got three options there depending on how much weight you want to carry, how much protection you need, and just whatever takes your mood, I suppose. But it does mean the tent is really versatile. And then actually without the inner tent in there, you can actually get more than two people. So if there's 3 or 4 of you and you want to use the tent, you can use it with the fly and the footprint and you'll get more people squashed in there. So how does this thing fit? Well, I am 6'3". I've got a 42-inch chest and there's plenty of room for 2 of me in here. We've got a Sin mat ultralight in here. We've got a mountain equipment aerostat down mat in here as well. So plenty of room for 2 good regular sized sleep mattresses. There's even a little bit of extra room down the side here if you wanted to put some stuff, and plenty of headroom. So if I wanted to sit up, loads of room above my head. Doesn't feel claustrophobic in here, feels nice and light and airy, and nice tight side walls, so it doesn't feel claustrophobic at all. Okay, so summarise, the MSR Elixir 2 tent is a 2-person, sensibly lightweight backpacking tent, suitable for most of the year round, will withstand some pretty extreme conditions. And it's just, the real thing about it that struck me while I've been doing the video is the space, the roominess on inside the inner tent, and those really generous vestibules either side. Super easy to get in and out of with the dual entrances. And with those 3 pitching options, it gives you year-round, multiple kind of environmental condition pitching options, from hot, insecty to full-on sheltered protection from the wind and the rain. So a really nice, useful, versatile, super roomy, well-made tent. Okay, thanks very much for watching. If you like our content and want to be kept up to date with all our videos, please hit the subscribe button below. If you want to add any comments or questions, please pop them in. It's always good to hear from you. And Harry will put up some links here as well through to the products on our website so you can fill out on all the geeky details. Thanks for watching. Toodaloo.